Shalom. Uprezi Alba Shemi Al Shaba Shemakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, the great millstone are all well. And Shalom to all the brothers doing the work of Syrian truth. Um yeah, got this article on AP News. And it's going into the geopolitical situation you got between Russia, China, the States, essentially showing, the conflict that's been there. It's really been there the whole time between mainly like Russia and the US, and how that thing's not toned down. The thing is as well is people really believe that like between like Bush, then Obama, then Trump, then Biden, there's been a shift as far as, the aims and goals of dealing with them. But it's not really been so. It's perception wise, people think there's been a shift, but it's what you got the elites, these guys, these banking families in the shadows. They will set the pace of the approach the state's gonna take, and they're the ones that hold the sway. They influence the media coverage. They influence decision making as well. On the highest levels with these things. They're the ones that have to say. So it's uh the perception of it is crafted by them, and that's why it's like even now. So it says what U.S. ties with Russia, China sink as Biden toes tough lines. So it says U.S. relations with its two biggest geopolitical rivals are facing severe tests as President Joe Biden tries to assert America's place in the world and distinguish himself from his predecessor. Aaron mirrored complaints. The Biden administration took an extraordinarily tough line with China and Russia this past week. Public spats between the countries erupted as Biden characterized Russian's President Vladimir Putin as a killer, and his top national security aides excoriated China for a litany of issues. So yeah, you had Biden basically saying what did he say about in Russia? I think he was talking about the fuck is this guy called, man? I can't even remember. Litvinenko is coming to my mind, but it's not that geezer. It's I can't remember. But the guy that was the opposition leader, essentially talking about how he was getting treated. But yeah, it's essentially just America poking their nose in the affairs of other countries. This is what. Oh, in China as well. Yeah, they were talking about the Uyghurs situation. Says that Moscow and Beijing both fired back, setting the stage for months, if not more, of escalating tensions that are unlikely to be resolved without intense discussions at the leadership level and major concessions from all sides. Yeah, so it's not gonna be shit Shane just gonna blow over. Is what they're saying. But it's these things are there'll be more going on than just what's reported in the news. Behind the scenes, behind closed doors. There'll be more going on, and you'll kind of observe. The thing is, it's a matter of prophecy as far as a conflict between U.S., China, and America, and as such, because of because of prophecy, is things are going to move according to that. So it's basically this chip needs to come in. That's going to be the big focus. But what you're still going to have, the breakdown in communication, breakdown in as far as in the relationship of of these countries. Because why? The main thing as well is Iran, because that's the big point of contention. Iran and Syria, like Russia's the big allies, China's the allies, and they've got their own investments. They've got their own approach as far as how they're going to deal with it, and the US wants to do their own thing. So these things are going to blow up. Biden himself kicked off the latest round of recrimination in a TV interview in which he sought to draw clear differences between his Russia policies and those of former President Donald Trump, who was accused of being soft on Putin. Just 24 hours later, Biden's top diplomat and national security advisor blasted Chinese officials in face-to-face talks. Although Biden's strong comments about Putin reflected a shift from Trump's often conciliatory approach to the Kremlin, the harsh criticism directed at China by Secretary of State Antony Blinken and National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan in many ways mirrored the previous administration's hard line towards Beijing. Yeah, because you had contention essentially the whole time Trump was in office. And I ain't really looking to go anywhere, because why? As far as it's economic issues, man. This thing's all about the desires of the elites. That's really what it's about. It's not about some, Trump was just. It's these things. Trump is insignificant as far as, just as Biden is insignificant. Because about who's behind these, that office of president that everyone thinks is the decision making seat. It's not so. It's a symbol. It's basically something that's utilized to, basically as a cover for how the elites are basically controlling things behind the scenes, man. So the contrast in styles suggests that Biden is intent on reversing years of perceived U.S. weakness towards Russia while rejecting Trump's 2020 campaign allegations that he's not tough on China. In taking a strong line on Russia, Biden has said the days of the US rolling over to Putin are done. And in the interview of ABC broadcast Wednesday, Biden replied, "I do want to ask if you thought Putin was a killer." Russia responded by recalling this ambassador in Washington within consultations. Yeah, and I think he said as well that what did he say? It was wasn't about, I can't even remember. But they might link it later in the article. Putin then shot back by pointing to the US history of slavery, the slaughter of the Native Americans, and the atomic bomb in Japan in World War II, and then "it takes one to know one" response. As that was unfolding, I can't even remember. As that was unfolding on Thursday in Alaska, China's top two diplomats reacted in similar fashion to criticism from Blinken and Sullivan about Beijing's human rights record in the Western Xinjiang region and Tibet, and its aggressive actions in Hong Kong, Taiwan, and the South China Sea. Communist Party foreign policy chief Yang Jiechi and Foreign Minister Wang Yi accused the US of hypocrisy for condemning China, while at the same time grappling with its own internal issues, including violence against Asian Americans and other people of color, and political unrest following the 2020 presidential election. So now people just slinging mud in America's face. And it's funny because it's showing that shift, and that's going to be a big part of when, all these nations are basically turning against America, because it's the skirt being lifted, man, the leg being made bare, and then what? It's all that's under there is all the vile acts that been done by Esau, mainly from America, man. America is that whore that rides a beast, and it's the most shameless, man. But that's being noised. Fucking hell. That's being noised abroad. Everyone's basically being woken up to, being alerted to what? That the US is that criminal entity. And that's been known, but now it's the PR firm, through media has been losing their grip on basically holding the the image, the representation of America up. That's been thrown out the window. So now it's known like, hey, look, these guys do shady criminal shit, man, and have done for years. Blinken and Sullivan took umbrage at those comments and replied the US was not perfect but sought to openly and honestly address such matters. Sullivan said Americans' willingness to confront their shortcomings was a secret source of US success. I don't know what the fuck y'all are talking about. The willingness to confront your success. You had I believe it was Chicago, give out reparations. Just 25 grand, which is piss in the wind. As far as for what was done during slavery, but what people were kicking up a fuss and still are, because on the side of Jake, that's like, no, this don't mean shit. You're not wrong. Like 25 grand for what went down during slavery, that's a fucking absolute joke. But then also, what do you call it? You got Edomites are upset that Jake could get any money anyway. They're saying, oh no, it's so long ago. Just forget about it. It's not even the same generation, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well then, you, bruv, then just come become a slave for Jake, man. Come become a slave, and then just see if, it's essentially just, Esau holding himself not guilty. Okay. So it says, and they sought to reframe US-China relations in the context of the Biden administration's resolve to correct those issues, strengthen the US economy, improve ties with democratic allies in Asia such as Australia, Japan, and South Korea. Yeah, so it's, essentially you just had a back and forth, trading blows between Russia, China, Biden. But yeah, it's just that's a criminal ass. Look at these faces, man. Fucking criminal. Both criminals, man. It's fucking Edomites, man. But what? It's this thing, all that chatter they're doing, all that talk, all that back and forth. This is this links into the Brennan Circus, man. This is just noise distraction for people to kind of hone in on the back and forth. They don't realize there's more things going down in the background. All this, oh, but da da da. That's surface level shit. But the actual, there's both countries have spies. Well, all three countries have spies up in each other's government and systems, and they're basically they're kind of keeping each other in check. Well, trying to keep each other in check. Really, is US is trying to keep a spot, and the other two are looking for a come up. But what this thing's gonna culminate in that third world war, and America getting nuked, man, by its enemies and its allies, man, because everyone's gonna be gonna hate the whore, burn her with fire. Ezekiel 38:2, it says, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him, and say, Thus saith the Most High Power, Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. Yeah. So Russia, and it says, "What? And I will turn thee back, and put hooks into thy jaws, and I'll bring thee forth, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a grand company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords." Yeah. So all the among Russia, these guys have had, well, before the fall of Soviet Union, Russian military prowess was up there alongside the US, man. It's like even the AK-47, that thing is still one of the most versatile assault rifles that's ever been built. That shit is used all over the globe. It's on a fucking flag. I can't remember which country. One of the countries in Africa have it on their flag, man. That shit's legendary. So it's they've also got that same blessing. And it's what these guys, it's they're gonna come against the US, man. You're gonna have that World War III, and you're gonna have that great global conflict in what's it called, man? Valley of Yahweh Shaphat, man, in the Middle East, in and around Iran, man. It's gonna get messy. It's gonna get greasy, and it's gonna escalate, man, to the point where nukes are shot on the states. This is what Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya. All of them with shield and helmet. Gomer and all these bands, and out of Torgamar of the North quarters and all these bands, and many people with thee. Yeah. So all these nations are gonna join in, man. Because as it is now, it's only very few countries, mainly Iran, Russia, China, that are kind of opposing the US. But it's gonna turn up. So yeah, I'll leave it there. Shalom. Shalom.